Hey everybody, welcome back. Again, Tony with Shinsho Yoga. And today, actually, I'd like to do a little different today. I'd like to do a reading from a book called The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Often during my classes, either in the beginning of the class, when we're going through our gentle warm-ups and I have people holding some light poses, or at the end during Savasana, I often like to read from books that have spoken to me, that have done things for me, that have helped me. I never know what anyone be able to take from it. It may mean something to them, it may not, but they mean something to me. And often the words that are expressed in some of these books are put in a way that there's no way that I feel I could ever say it better. So instead of me trying to paraphrase and dance around it or find some other way to say it, I'll just read it in the words of the author and let people take from it what they will. This book was given to me actually by an ex-girlfriend many years ago when the relationship ended. And she handed this to me as a kind of a parting gift, saying, take this. And of course, I looked at it and looked and was like, mastery of love, you need that, not me. That's kind of the mindset at the time. And this went on to my nightstand, where it stayed for 2 years, untouched, collecting dust. And then one day I just looked at it, picked it up, and said maybe I should at least, flip through it, and didn't put it down and read the whole thing in about a day or two. It's a fantastic book. The wisdom in this book is down to earth, basic, but just missed, I think, by most of us. I know when I read it, I was like, this is simple enough. Why don't I know it? So I would recommend it to anyone. It's a little over 200 pages. And you may know the writer for a book called The Four Agreements, another popular one in the spiritual community. I haven't read that one, but this one is a favorite of mine. Again, The Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz. And the passage that I want to read today is from the section of the book called The Perfect Relationship, pages 78 and 79. And in this, he often will use he and she pronouns, kind of going back and forth. I just, to make it simple, because I don't know who the audience is, I just use they for all of them. So if you do pick up the book and wonder, saying, well, that's not what Tony read, I just make it simple because I don't know who the audience is hearing this. So whether you are male or female or however you identify, I just make it they is easy. When you meet a person, just after hello, they start sending you information right away. They can hardly wait to share their dream with you. They open themselves even if they don't know they're doing it. It is so easy for you to see every person just the way they are. You don't need to lie to yourself. You can see what you are buying, and either you want it or you don't. But you cannot blame the other person for being a dog or a cat or a horse. If you want a dog, then why are you getting a cat? If you want a cat, why would you get a chicken or a horse? You know the kind of man or woman that you want, the one who makes your heart sing, the one who is aligned with the way you are, the one who loves you just the way you are. Why set yourself up for something else? Why not get what you want? Why pretend to make someone fit what they are not? It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you make a choice and say yes or no, because you love yourself also. You make a choice, and you are responsible for your choices. Then, if the choices are not working well, you don't blame yourself. You simply make another choice. But let's imagine that you get a dog and you love cats. You want your dog to behave like a cat. And you try to change the dog's behavior because it never says meow. What are you doing with a dog? Get a cat. This is the only way to begin a great relationship. First, you have to know what you want, how you want it, when you want it. You have to know exactly what the needs of your body are, the needs of your mind are, and what fits well with you. It comes down to choice. We all have choices that we make. Relationships are challenging. I'd be the first one to raise my hand on that if someone said, "You ever had a problem?" But they're a choice. We choose to see what we want to see in other people often. People right from the beginning will show you who they are. It's just whether or not we want to see it in them or not. A friend of mine, a fellow teacher, often will call me sometimes when she's having some issues with relationships. And she'll call me for a man's point of view. And I do the best I can to give her a male point of view on it and what, the person she's involved with and how they might think. But I always bring it back to the same thing. You can't control what anyone else does. All you can control is what you do. So if you're having problems in this relationship that are interfering with what's going on, what didn't you see from the beginning? That's what it comes down to. When you meet someone, as the book says, right from the beginning, people are going to be who they are. Yeah, people do put on airs, people will put on a mask, but energy doesn't lie. When you meet them, right away, you're going to get a gut feeling. Now, maybe there's someone that they have a way about them that you always thought was the type of person for you. Or maybe they look a certain way or dress a certain way or have a certain job or some things that you've always been enamored with or impressed by. And all of a sudden that's in front of you and you fail to see what they really are. And what they really are, I'm not talking about them being good or bad. It's just whether it's good or bad for you. You make a choice. We all make choices. And if we're in a bad relationship, we often want to blame the other person. And I'm not saying that the other person may not be as nice as you had hoped, but you made a choice. You chose to be in that relationship. And if it's not working, well, then you have to make a choice from there. The best choice, though, in those situations, as challenging as it is, because once you're involved in the situation with someone, to have to make another choice can be very painful. You have to make the choices in the beginning. You have to go in with a clear mind. You have to go in knowing what you want. And knowing what you want, again, can't come back to, well, I want someone who's got a good job or a good car. None of those things really matter when it comes down to the actual relationship. It's here. You have to know the right person for you. What I always refer to with people is you have to find someone who's in your wheelhouse, right? Someone who is in tune with the same things you do. They don't have to be directly doing what you do, but they have to be on the same page there with you. I'm a surfer. Someone I would be with doesn't have to surf, but if they hate the beach, the relationship just isn't going to work. I'm a musician and a photographer. Art is important to me. They don't have to be a musician or a photographer, but they need to enjoy music and have to appreciation for photography, just as I would want to have an appreciation for any art that they had. You have to know what you want. And again, you have to know what is right for you. If things that you want are, again, good car, nice house, someone with a good job, or any of those types of things, that's all fleeting. That will all go by. That will all be empty and meaningless in the end. And if that's what you're looking for, then you need to look internally at yourself. Why you're looking for those types of material things versus what your heart wants. Because your heart knows what it wants. It knows what works for you. So when you realize what you want, it makes it much easier to make that choice. To know, again, as the book states, if you want a cat, why are you getting a dog? I thought that's a wonderful analogy. I'm a cat person, so I like all animals, but I prefer cats. So when friends come over to my house, especially guy friends, that'll say, hey, you're a guy, you should have a dog. I like cats. Cats are chill. Cats are independent. Cats do their own thing. That's what I like. And that's the choice that I make. And everything in your life will come down to those choices. Your power in life is the choices that you make. Right? What do you choose to be? What do you choose to do? Whenever I talk to people about meditation, right, it's not about the stopping of the mind. It's about not allowing the strong emotions and thoughts we have to rule us. You choose to not allow them to rule you. Additionally, people often in the spiritual circles always talk about like good vibes only and things like that. Being spiritual is not about being positive all the time. Being spiritual is about being genuine and authentic. Um, Being upset, being hurt, being angry, these are all natural emotions. You weren't given by the divine anything that's wrong. It's what you do with them. It's what you choose to do with them. You feel anger. Okay, do you choose to stay in anger? You feel sadness. Do you choose to stay in sadness? Do you feel happiness? Do you choose to stay in happiness, but stay in happiness to the point that even when it's fleeting and gone, you're trying to force it, going, no, I'm happy. It comes to choice. That's really what the subject of that passage is. What choices do you make? And are you listening to the energy that's coming? Are you listening here? Right? Now, how do we get to that point? How do we get to that point where we can listen, where we can hear that? Well, you have to still the mind. It always comes back to the practice, every time. That breath work that I talk about. Those who have been in my classes know it, and you've been watching prior videos. You hear me mention it pretty much at the end of every single one. Allowing the thoughts to arise, allowing them to pass by, and returning to the breath over and over and over again. Learning to still the mind allows us to see things as they really are. Then when we meet those people, we'll notice if we're talking to a dog or a cat or a chicken or a horse or any of the analogies that the book wanted to offer us. And know what's right for us. And be able to make that choice to say yes or no. And if you say yes and you go along and realize, well, this wasn't right for me, you simply make another choice. And I know it's very easy to say here right now, it's not that way out in the world where you're with somebody and you're out at dinner and you look at them and go, this is a bad choice, bye, and you just get up and go. I'm not suggesting that, although there may be scenarios where it is the best choice to do that. But it's about that mindset. In order to have that mindset, you have to have a still enough mind to be able to see and feel things just the way they are. And know that that person, when they approach you, whether they're right or wrong, or are you giving in to your own fears and insecurities, or are you falling into past patterns, any of those things. When this is still, you'll know all those things. And then those choices become much more clear. But in the end, it comes down to a choice. So, I'm going to be doing more readings from these. This This book gets carried with me. You can see the tabs for the different places that I mark off, and I often will read from this in my classes as I go along in the video series here of different videos that I'm creating. I will be doing more readings from different books and different passages, that things that have impressed me over the years and meant something to me. So I'll share them with you, and hopefully they'll do something for you. And as we say in Buddhism, you'll take what serves you and get rid of the rest. That doesn't mean take what's comfortable and get rid of what's uncomfortable, because we often need what is uncomfortable. You take what serves you and you get rid of the rest. So again, Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz. Highly recommend it. Wonderful book. Namaste.